just did. Ladies and gentlemen, Brett, I'll come back to you in a second. Jack, can you hear me?
Hey!
What's going on? Hey, thanks for joining us today.
How's it going? What's that?
Thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure. Am I button appropriate?
I think you're good. As long as you've got enough chest going on and it's good enough. It's good enough.
I'm inside, so I'm going to button up, unlike you, down at the beach, or outside anyway.
It's my fake beach. This is the quarantine beach.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm here as well, inside.
Costa de COVID, as I like to call it.
Nice.
So what are you drinking over there?
Well, I know you were going to be drinking, so I'm going to make it right here.
Okay. All right.
Here's the thing about drinking to me. Now, we eat for all different kind of reasons, I guess, mostly to sustain ourselves. Otherwise, we'll fall down if we don't eat, right? If we don't have protein and carbs and everything else. And we eat for taste. I think we drink for different reasons than that, though. It's not so much about feeding the body, but feeding the soul, right? Making us feel better about whatever, or connecting maybe to something that we just can't quite reach. But oftentimes, it's you drink whatever's there, right? So in this case, I'm moving, and my place is a mess, as you can see. And there's a great echo, in here, because there's nothing here. So I had to go dig up. I had one little thing in the cabinet. I always save that. It's my emergency bottle. So I have a little airplane bottle of Chairman's Reserve rum from St. Lucia Distillers. I was in St. Lucia. And so we're going to do that. I'm going to do a little rum right here. Pour that right in, the whole shot, because I don't have two shots. And it's going to do very simple. We're going to do a little rum and cola. But I'm going to put a little twist on that. I'm going to add a lime. Aren't you sorry you asked me what I'm drinking? This is a lot longer segment than you thought, right?
Hey, listen, I'm loving it.
I'm going to make it, we know what that's called when we add lime, right? A Cuba Libre.
There you go.
Cuba Libre. All depends how you say it. And then I'm going to stir it up and enjoy a nice drink with you and the boys.
Cheers.
Salud.
So speaking of moving out, obviously you split your time right now between Phoenix and LA, correct?
Yeah, well, it was LA for 25 years, and then I came down with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So I decided I should get out of Hollywood and go somewhere where I could just relax, be peaceful, try to heal. I know I had one chance at this, so I wanted to do it the right way. He said, having a glass of alcohol. But I'm all healed up now. At least the scan says so. So I did 4 months. For those who don't know, and many of you do, I started chemo in November 2017. 4 months of heavy chemo, and then 2 years of maintenance chemo. So I just wrapped that and just finished. And then I came down with osteomyelitis, which means your bone dies. So I had a pick in my arm for a month. So every day I drove myself to the hospital, had to get antibiotics, and I couldn't have a drink all month, all of February. But I wrapped that. I'm good now, and I'm back on the road to health. So yes, I go back and forth from Phoenix to LA, but not right now because everything's locked down. So I'm
right. So, I mean, at least you're in one place and you're safe. It looks like you started moving out, and then you're on pause now, or?
No, I'm just gonna wait to go to LA for a little while. So I'll stick around and live in shambles. No, I'll figure something out. And then it's off to LA to go back to pick some shows and hopefully come up with some more material for television. But in the meantime, I'll be here. I'll be doing things like this with you. I have my own virtual happy hour I have scheduled. Maybe you could be a guest on mine. And
that'd be great.
And I have my own YouTube channel now, and then you can find that at Twitter and Instagram. I'm Southie Jack. Every time I say that, someone thinks I say Selfie Jack, but it's Southie. It's my old neighborhood. SOUTHIEJACK. There you go.
Yes, sir. And I just shared a quick screenshot of that page. But for everyone listening, I'm going to throw up the. You can pretty much at that right there, pointing in the right direction. Southie Jack for anything. You can find him on Instagram, Twitter, even Facebook. It's /Southie Jack. Tell us a little bit about what you're working on right now. So you got that Name That Quarantine deal going on Twitter. I've watched those. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm going to move a lot of content over to YouTube. So if you can, folks, please join my YouTube channel. And the links are in my bio. You should be able to find it pretty easily. And if you know my face, then you should there's a lot of Jack Maxwells. I can't believe there are that many Jack Maxwells. There's a tech guy, there's a magician, there's a 90-something-year-old guy who's on there. So I'm this one. I'm this guy, the guy who drinks and likes to have a good time. But
there you go.
I've made a pivot recently. I'll tell you about that in a second.
Yeah, please do. And I'm gonna actually pull up just share the screen here and show everybody your YouTube page. You just launched this in the last couple of days, right?
Yesterday, I think. Yesterday, yeah.
Okay. So you've already got a few of those videos up.
Yes, I do.
I like it. Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about the pivot you made. Obviously, there's been a transition since your time on the Travel Channel.
Yeah, after I came down with cancer and I did chemo, one of the side effects was I couldn't sleep. So I ended up trying CBD on the recommendation of a friend, and it helped. And I figured there'd be a lot of other stories out there. People who might not be experienced with cannabis and might be resistant for this reason or that, but maybe mostly because we were lied to about it. We were misinformed about what it is and what it does, because there are a lot of people who are really getting help from CBD. Now, I'm not pitching any CBD company. I don't represent any brand. This Chairman's Reserve, I'm not trying to plug them. I'm doing this for my own purposes because I was helped so much by CBD, and I wasn't a cannabis user before that. And I know when you combine it, full spectrum CBD and THC, the benefits increase. So it seems to me that since 1937, I guess, when it was put on the prohibited list, THC at least, hemp is now legal due to the Farm Bill. But a lot of people are getting benefits. So I go interview people who normally wouldn't use cannabis. Older folks, people in red states that found it offensive to their way of life and their religion and everything else. Pets who have been benefiting from that. So it's called The High Road with Jack Maxwell. We'll be releasing segments of it, I think, sometime soon on YouTube or something like that. But basically, that's the pivot, although I still enjoy a nice cocktail.
So we went from booze to buds. I like it.
Maybe if we could have a nice dice game, we could cover every vice.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
What else you want to do?
So we got a few questions that came in the chat here. I'm going to pull a couple of them out. PJ says, what place that you've traveled has surprised you the most?
Oh, that's a great question. A lot of places, honestly, if you want the honest answer, and I try to give that every time, a lot of places surprise you because you can be somewhere or think you have an idea of what a place is like, but you never know until you put your feet on the ground. I mean, I say Paris, what do you think? The Eiffel Tower. But you don't know about the people walking in and out of little cafes and the interactions you'll have in side alleys with people that are coming or going. They might be tourists, they might be locals. Every place surprised me just a little bit. But if you want an answer to the question, the beauty of Tahiti took my breath away. It was so stunning. The water was clear all the way up to maybe 10 feet deep. It was like looking into a pool.
Oh, yeah.
With beautiful bright blue, you could see the stingrays and the fish. And it was just stunning. So I think that the physicality, the beauty, the topography of Tahiti surprised me certainly the most. But I could go off on that subject for an hour.
It's one of those things that I feel the same way about. I think I did a count on countries, and I'm blessed to be at my young age have gone to 21 countries. And like you said, you think of one thing from every city, like Paris, the Eiffel Tower, but it's those side streets and the locals and everybody that's the real culture that like feeds my soul when I'm traveling. So I feel you on that.
I think so too. It's always been about the people. I'll come back from a trip and I won't remember the structures I've seen, even if it's something like Mount Everest. I mean, it's a beauty to behold. But I always came back when people ask me, oh, you were just Tanzania, Mongolia, Japan, Nepal, Taiwan, Lithuania, wherever you were. Tell me about it. And I was always telling them stories of people I met. Yes, drinks I had, because it was basically a show about what people drink. And why they drink it, and of course the stories they tell when they do. But it was the culture that impressed me and how they were, and I realized we're really a lot alike. So it was always about the people, never about the place. Not often, anyway.
Love it. Now, so I saw this question coming from a mile away, and I'm going to bring a couple of my co-hosts back in a moment. But of course, what is your favorite go-to cocktail? Is the question here.
Well, I think I was talking about at the top of the show here. I don't have one thing that I just drink, and I'll tell you why. It's not what I'm drinking; it's who I'm with and what I'm doing. Quite honestly, like if I was with you right now and we have a beach vibe going on, maybe I'd have a nice G&T with a big bulbous glass like they do in Spain, so you can really bring in all the aromas of it. If I'm with friends and we're at a ball game, a nice cold beer, maybe a craft beer, something really nice. If I'm, if it's hot out, a mojito. If I'm with a certain group of friends, I know they love wine with dinner, we'll do that, or a single malt scotch. I don't have a go-to. I mean, my spirit, I love rum because as a kid, it reminded me of pirates and everything else, and nice, beautiful blue water and palm trees and white sand. And I grew up in the opposite of that on the East Coast in Boston. We had none of that, really. None of the beaches were nice. The weather's not that great most of the time. So rum, but I'm really getting into mezcal now. And,
nice.
I'd like to do that one time, but they're making some really nice artisanal mezcals, and it's smoky and rich, like a peaty scotch in some ways. So I love it all almost, just about everything.
There you go. I'm the same way. I've got a spirit of choice. It's usually gin for me, but I like a nice drink. It depends on the environment and the vibe. So
yeah, Scotland has all the ingredients that you'd find in a gin right around it. So people are now thinking maybe gin was invented in Scotland. I know it was Geneva or Geneva, however you want to say it, in the Amsterdam area, right? They have a place called Three Little Bottles. And
I went there.
Rembrandt drank there. And really? the forerunner to gin was this Geneva. But at the same time, they find all the ingredients in Scotland. They think it was there. So now they're making beautiful gin now. So again, it's always about the place and the people, never really about the drink. And the place only tied to the people.
Well, and speaking of the people, a couple of my favorite people who I started this with last week when we all started self-quarantining, I'm going to bring them in. I've got Brett Barry here and Adam Green. Hey, guys, can you hear us?
I hear you.
Yep. Cheers.
Awesome. Hey, guys.
Stories,
Adam, Brett, what's happening?
This is great. Enjoying your tales about what's, your reasons for being into this. I think it's an inspiration to alcoholics everywhere. That's not about the drinking, it's about the people. So thank you.
I don't know if those two tie in, but okay. I'll let you.
So I have a question that ties into us having this conversation in the self-quarantine days that we're in. Have you been self-quarantining? You've been at home. Obviously, with your situation, you're immunocompromised, so you would be at a risk right now, right?
Well, yeah, I stay in for the most part. Go to the grocery store if I have to. I have a couple of my folks live here, so I make sure they're taken care of. As you can see, I haven't been out to the barber in a while. My hair is getting really long and messy and thick and everything else. So I'm doing my best to do my part. I saw this great thing on social media, and people want to make fun of social media and everything else. But to me, oftentimes, not always, it's inspiring. And I saw this graphic. It said, your grandparents were asked to go to war to save you. You're just being asked to sit on the couch to save you.
I saw that.
Yep. Wasn't that great?
I saw that. It was hilarious. It was like, just sit at home, man. That's all you got to do.
So I have to do my part. I know you want to go outside and be with friends. And, this really changes the dynamic. So many things that, I like to think I don't take things for granted. But sometimes they're in the back. Let's just say that they're in the back of your mind. So now, being outside at a park and being around folks and saying hi to people and seeing kids run around and play and hearing their happy laughter and all of that, I'll appreciate that for the rest of my life now.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's the first thing you want to do, or person you want to see that maybe you've self-quarantined yourself from as soon as this thing's over?
You know, I haven't really seen my mother. I had to stay at a distance. She doesn't live far from me here in Phoenix. I moved here, like I said, to do chemo, and I wanted to be near her because I didn't see her during the whole run of Booze Traveler. I was on the road maybe 10 months a year, so I didn't get to see her a lot, just holidays and when we weren't filming. So I just want to, I've seen her, but at a distance. So I just want to go give her a big hug and tell her I love her and tell her without her, I'm nothing. She gave it all to me, and I get to do what I do because of the way she raised me and the life she gave me. So she's the first person I want to see without a doubt.
Yeah, I've had to.
cheers.
So moms everywhere.
Absolutely. Cheers to moms. I've had to keep my distance as well, and then my mother I was worried because my mother got sick, and then my dad got sick, and then I was like, oh, I think it's just allergies, and they said, don't come home. Don't even stop by. We don't want to see you.
I know. I was out at the grocery store the other day, and I sneezed, allergies or whatever, and everybody looked at me like they wanted to kill me. I mean, I did it to the elbow and everything. And I don't know that sneezing is one of the symptoms of coronavirus. I think it's a dry hack cough.
Yeah.
It's not a runny nose. But people honestly looked at me as if I just stole their wallet. It's unbelievable.
If you so much as sniffle slightly loud around anybody right now, they're just going to yell COVID and run away. I promise.
You know, the first thing I wanted to say is I don't have the corona. I don't have COVID-19. But I resisted that because you shouldn't have to do that. You know, that's the basis of all prejudice, bias, racism, whatever, is judging someone either based on what they look like or maybe something they say or do, whatever. None of that should exist. If I have corona, I'll stay home. I'll stay home anyway. But just because I sneeze, they looked at me like they wanted to burn me at the stake, like I was a witch. Or if I would sink, I'm a duck or whatever that Monty Python thing. They wanted to kill me for sure.
That's I'm pretty sure I coughed while like riding my bike down the road the other day, and someone decided to jog across the street from me. So that happened.
You're lucky they didn't throw a rock at your head.
Knock me off the bike. It's a zombie movie.
You got the thing is if you go to a store and see like shelves filled with toilet paper, just sneeze and start coughing, and it's all for you.
Yeah, I don't. You know, so the people are doing that for jokes. They're sneezing on produce and coughing and things like that. This is not the time to work out new material. Please listen to me, folks. That's not funny. That's not funny. Don't do it. Don't do it. Stay home. Write your jokes at home. Don't do these physical prank humor stuff. Don't joke about corona, please. It's not worth it. And it's not funny.
Unless, of course, you're just drinking a Corona. That's fine, right? Then it's like, that's a fair joke.
That's a sight gag.
Yeah.
Don't say anything about it. Let it live. Let it be understated. Drink it, post it, and that's it. I get it. It's been done a million times. But don't sneeze on the bananas. Whatever you do.
If you're drinking Corona for a gag, you're basically just stealing Carrot Top's current material.
That's it. That's right. I'm
So,
sure many people have done it.
So we've got another question here in the chat. Heath Miller wants to know what your favorite episode of Booze Traveler is.
Hey,
he's
what's happening?
in Tennessee.
That's another tough one, too. I mean, we did 63 episodes of Booze Traveler itself, 10 episodes of Booze Traveler Best Bars. And then I did a show called The Trip, 3 of those for them, where we go around the world to give away a vacation. That was pretty fun. But as far as episodes, I do have a favorite, and I'll tell you why. I got to bring my mother on an episode. You know how much I love and adore her. I brought her to Sicily because the network and the production company asked me, where do you want to go? And I said, well, how about Sicily? Because I have family there I've never met. And we went to Ciamina, small little town. I think Scorsese is from there. And it was like I was coming home from the war, like they just saw a ghost. And again, we never met. They gave me a big hug, and they're crying and tearing up and putting all this food in front of me and drinks, and the mayor issues a proclamation, and the band is playing. And it's not just because I had a TV show and we were filming. They do that to my other cousins who live in Chicago when they visit. They're just, this reminds me of what family should really be. I mean, family is everything to them. And it made me feel like I was missing something, that closeness, because I was always traveling and trying to be an actor or a host and going all across wherever the job would take me. And that slowed me down. And just to see the joy on their faces interacting with my mother, talking about her grandfather who was born there. So I would have to say probably based on that alone, that's my favorite episode. But
I love that, man. That is amazing.
That's great.
So we talked about the quarantine situation that you're doing. You've played a few songs. Tell us more about your whole guitar situation, because Brett here is actually, Brett's this way. I got to figure out how to point because everything's mirrored. There's Brett down there. Okay. He's a guitar player. Actually plays pretty well. Yeah, there he is.
You can wave. That'll do it.
Well, here's the thing about that. I'm not a guitar player. This is what makes the game fun. I pick a guitar up every 5 or 10 years, and I never play long enough to get good. But I play by ear. I just try to pick out tunes, right? And chords now and then. Maybe someone will show me something, but then I'll forget about it for a decade or so. So I figured while I'm on the inside, why not work on that a little bit? So I got this cheap old $69 guitar that I don't know how to tune. And I just figured I'd pick out some songs, and then people would try to guess. And I've been doing it for a week, and I'll have a video cocktail with the winner. Oddly enough, that's what we're doing now. And I don't know how to play, but see, that's what makes it nice. Because if I did, so what? Like Brett, if he played, we would know every single song that he's playing. But for me, it's hard to like guess this one. Ready?
Jump it, Jack Flash.
That's it. See, I even screwed that up. How about this one?
What's up, California?
Almost. People think it's that. I was trying to play Angie by the Stones, but I might have screwed it up. Anyway, that's called Quarantunes, or Name That Quarantune. And it's on, for now, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. But I think I'm going to move it over to my YouTube channel. So there you go.
I love it. Yep. And the YouTube channel, for those of you just joining us, I'm going to show them again. Just a quick screenshot of that right there. Jack Maxwell, his new YouTube channel. And the Quarantunes, where you can guess a song and win some time to have a cocktail with Jack. So we were talking about family a moment ago, and there's one other person who loved joining us on the show. I'm going to take a step back and let Adam Ledford come in. You can have a quick conversation. And I was thirsty because I need a refill. I'll be right back. I'm going to put Adam in. Adam Ledford, welcome to the party. I'll be right back.
Hey, I'm back.
Hey, Adam.
Yeah.
Hey, guys. Jack, I had a question for you. A lot of times we talk about sensory memories and those things that we eat or drink that kind of take us away from that place. Like the scene in Ratatouille where the chef has the bite and it takes him back to his childhood. You've had the opportunity to go to so many different places and try so many different things. Have you ever had one of those kind of surprising moments that just kind of took you away from where you were back to something that you weren't expecting?
Absolutely. And not only that, if I have a drink now, and it doesn't have to be an exotic one, but something I had on the show, it just propels me back to that place. Even more so. I think that's even stronger. Like I might be somewhere. When I was in Italy, we were in Florence and we had a Chianti Classico, and it reminded me when I was with my family in Boston, we had a big Italian dinner once and we had some Chianti. And it just reminded me of that, of course. But now, because it's more current, whenever I have a Chianti, it reminds me of being in Tuscany and Florence and the wonderful people I met there. So if I have, I don't know, anything with rum, it reminds me of the islands I went to, St. Lucia, Antigua. Any mojito brings me right back to Havana, because that's where I had the best mojito and a wonderful experience. It looks like it's 1959 there. It's just like the clock stopped, and all the cars are from then, and they fix them up and keep them. And it just, the drink, to me, that's what I love about drinks. It brings you back to a place and a time. Like smells do that maybe, or a song that you hear brings you back to high school or a certain time. For me now, drinks more than anything bring me back to these episodes. And I'm so grateful to have been able to do that, because now for me, the show lives on. Even though I'm not doing it anymore, I can just pick up a drink. There you go, London. From my time in England and the stuff we had there. And in England, I have maybe the best tasting single liquor. It's called Kendall Mint Cake Liqueur. Look it up, try to find it if you can. Tastes like a melted Andes mint, but better. You know those Andes mints?
Yeah.
If that was melted and not so sugary and had alcohol in it, it was just wonderful stuff. Really good. So whenever I drink now, and I want to go back to a certain place and a certain time that I travel to on the show, I'll choose an alcohol just for that. It brings me right back.
No, that's very cool. Very, very cool. I know, and I apologize, I lost connection earlier, but did we get a chance to ask the question from Heath about what was your favorite Booze Traveler episode?
Yes.
Yeah.
We did. Okay, excellent. I know he was really excited about that.
Like, I myself am wondering, Jack, doing the show that you've done and everything, did that change the way you approach alcohol in terms of like your enjoyment, or is it more just like, you know what, I'm just having a good time doing this? Like, when you become a professional drinker, so to speak, does that change how you approach the industry and the fun?
No, that's a really good point. We got to see so many times how it's made. The distilling process or the brewing process, moonshine in Tennessee, and I have a greater appreciation for the art of making liquor or beer, and especially the art of making a cocktail, because there's so much to it. I was at a place that still today just blows my mind to think about it. It's called Momix in Athens, molecular mixology, and what they do there, it's science and art, and it's entertainment, and it's just wonderful. It encompasses all the senses. So for me, alcohol is not just alcohol. Alcohol is a full experience and usually a pretty good memory.
Awesome.
Heck yeah.
Well, Adam, that was a really good question. Jack, I won't keep you for much longer. Spending almost a half hour with us on the show so far, having a drink. And if any of you guys, this is funny. Our friend Chris says, if you need toilet paper, he's got a 4-door name on it. So I think he's got you covered. Otherwise, I heard the day,
What a crappy offer.
Yeah. What a kind guy. People offering you toilet paper, Jack. Listen, if you do get that 4-pack, and you split it 4 ways with us.
Absolutely. There are 4 of us here. Everybody gets a roll and a cocktail.
Well, poor Adam Green get
Snuck in just in the nick of time.
All right, guys. Jack, I'm not seeing anything crazy coming up in the questions that we haven't touched on. I'll give you one more quick plug before we let you go. It is Southie Jack on all social media, guys. You can see it down there. We'll add it to this post later. And check his YouTube page, and also him on Twitter. You might get a chance to have the one-on-one conversation, right?
Yeah, and quarantunes every day at 12 noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, and we'll keep doing it as long as it's fun and as long as you guys out there want me to do it.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time. Stay safe, and we'll catch up soon. Thanks, Jack.
Likewise. Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much, man. Thank you.
Cheers.
What a nice guy.
Holy cow, what a nice guy.
That's great.
Right? That was a blast. Those of you still hanging out with us, let's see how quickly viewership drops now. Everyone's like, Jack's good.